Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is my first video to send to record for my student. The point I want to raise before I start my topic is that this COVID-19 issue created entire human race in a panic, and that panic is going to change entire history of culture of human race. When I say this, I'm a little bit embarrassed and worried and afraid, and I'm in a lot of fear. But if we keep being strong and take the advice of medical people, we can overcome this challenge and go ahead. Hoping you a good health and capacity to overcome this disease. I will start my my course from where we stopped last time. As you remember, we have seen the first two chapters, and then I told you to read chapter 3 as your reading assignment. And I'm not going to deal with chapter 3 in detail, but simply I will give you a summary. But what you are not going to have today is that of my presence in a class and making those jokes. You can create me in a visionary situation and have those jokes. Chapter 3 deals with procurement strategy and structure, and because we have seen in chapter 2 policies of procurement and how those policies have to be developed. In a procurement strategy and the structure, we will focus on two issues. The first one is strategy creation, and the second one is how we can structure and design our strategy for procurement. Strategic procurement mostly focus on how to source and what kind of process we have to follow, which has to be decided first by determining whether insourcing or outsourcing, which we have seen in chapter 2 as the policy part. Once we decide sourcing from inside or from outside, particularly when we decide mostly from those suppliers from outside, we have to make one process in which cross-functional team has to participate to decide, mostly from supply chain partners or from you have internally from different departments. And this decision, it will link the organization with its external supply chain, and then we have to determine the process by which we can establish the structure and the sourcing from outside. Strategic sourcing simply can be seen as the process in which we measure, analyze, and evaluate what we call the process by which the purchasing activity has to be improved, mostly making a change in a company's policies, and we have to reevaluate who has to supply something or different category of a supply. And now in this, we have to understand the necessity of collaboration with different suppliers and creating a good communication with internal and external stakeholders. And once we understand that, we have to have some kind of categorization. That is what we call this strategy is known as a category strategy, because when you procure, for any project or activities, so you have to determine types and categories of a product and the item you need from outside. This need analyzing the supplier, analyzing the demand, analyzing the interest of the company, the demand of the company, the type and the quality of items you need from inside and outside. In a typical category, you may have different subcategories you have to understand. Particularly, you have to understand a category that created nationally. Sometimes a nation may have some kind of grouping items in different category, and you have to go on that. This strategic sourcing got some benefit. For our organization. Most of that is that of we have to focus on reducing cost of goods and service, a continuity of supply, and creating the contractual alliance with different suppliers in our countries or abroad or from different geographical area. The focus has to be on improving the quality, maintaining a quality improvement in our activity in the business, and also optimizing a total purchasing capacity of the organization is another benefit. When we do, as you have read already, chapter 3, so we are not going to mess around and discuss everything. We got some steps in this strategy. The first one is we have to understand inside what do we need, what the company need, what our project need. There's also McKinney so a lot from different countries. That is why a lot of projects are failing in Africa, particularly what is within that they rely without finishing. That is the problem of procurement. They bring some machinery which they don't need it. So you have to understand what kind of items we need. That is what procurement manage. Then once you understand that, once you got different need of the organization, you have to go for supplier survey. Supplier survey, so you have to know who can have a capacity to supply. For in terms of quality, in terms of quantity, in terms of technical and functional need of the organization. You have to understand in which way the SUGAM has also that you have to understand that. That's why you do supplier survey. Supplier survey, and you have to understand the market situation. Today, imagine, Emika, you are doing your master's program in project management, and let us take you as a business. Emika, I am a supplier. I'm a product that about so take need. I know may manka abroad due to coronavirus. So, in which way this corona problem could affect the educational system in about so take you have seen it. I can't come to bro. So what do? This is video recording is the alternative we got from, and we have to come up with some strategy. The third step, the fourth step. The fifth one is coming up with how we can find out a request for a supplier. Mostly what Garen is step 5, request for what we call for reply from different organization in order to send us their agreement, or what we call bid that suppliers when we need them to submit to us. Mostly we do request for proposal, request for quotas, or another bidding process. In step 6, once we got those requests for proposal or request for quota or another bidding process, we have to select them. Criteria established in chapter 4, and then we communicate with a new supplier. That is what we do in a procurement strategy. We create a system, we understand the situation, environment, then what do? We go for selection. Lakin, we need one thing before that. How to select a strategy, how we can establish a strategy to salahan egde. Lakin, how to select them, you're going to be in a problem. So, there is one guy called Carl Lijax, a person who come up with a positioning matrix, in which he say, categorize a lab, put your items in a category, and then position them based on the demand of the organization, based on the need of the organization. Emika Haddo video gun portfolio analysis by Yalla, they will show you what Egesan in your chapter 3. There is a matrix in which 4 item category there. These are leverage, critical, and bottleneck, and the routine items. Detail case were clear. Please look them detail, and also following that strategy by how we can select based on this matrix. Mahasamini organization from where we select, how to select, for what item we have to be critical. Detail is there in your handout. Please, I will advise you to focus on those areas, and you have to go through in detail. arrin ka sababtan dhaaf you because it is clear. You don't need my presentation because handout key go clear. Emika structure key, your design, what kind of design we have to follow. Strategy ban hina. We created positioning. But what is remaining? The sourcing structure, supply structure. In this, upper structure by yalla, single, multiple, delegated, and parallel selection system by yalla, please. As I do always, I will advise you. Handout clear. They are better than me, you know that. And I put detailed thing. Go through. Read carefully. Hadid debated hisan, you can send me my email, a question, and then I will respond to you. Or you can text me on my WhatsApp at any time. I'm there for you. By that, I will pass chapter 3 and go to chapter 4. Because arren kan wa clear we single one mahay, multiple one mahay, delegated one mahay, parallel one mahay, even with figure bataysan. There are pictures which shows. This all case, I will be ready for you at any time. You can text me.